Okay, so let's begin. I have started both of the recordings. Hello, everyone. Renee here from Schaumburg Library. Happy that you all are with us today. We have Daksha with us today, and she is here from the Kenneth Young Center. She's the caregiver specialist. Thank you so much, for being with us today. She'll be talking with us about Alzheimer's disease and memory loss. Thank you so very much for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me, Renee. Hello, everyone.
So tell us a little bit about your role at the Kenneth Young Center.
So I have been caregiver specialist at Kenneth Young Center for 20 years since the introduction of the caregiver program. I work with family members who are taking care of seniors and help them with whatever issues they might be facing. It could be psychosocial issues, it could be behaviors, financial, planning. I'm not a financial advisor, but I help them on their journey to know what are all their options and how they can plan for the future. In recognition, especially for the caregivers who take care of someone with dementia, the state has additional programs as well to provide the support and services because these are the caregivers who find it so difficult to manage all the things, all the changes that are going on in their life because of the person who is affected with dementia.
Indeed. And these issues touch our lives. They touch so many lives, And I just saw this Time magazine special edition. It's actually a reissue of this special on Alzheimer's disease in the grocery store. And you know how many lives it's touching. So that could be a resource for you, as well as the library. We have vast resources. And of course, your library is here to help you. So if you would like to pull together some materials to do additional reading on this topic, we would encourage you to contact the library. So it is good to see that we're learning more all the time. Are you hopeful about the progress that we've made on this in the last 20 years or so?
Oh, we sure have, and I'm so thankful for that. Medically, we know more and more about how dementia develops, and we also know how to help the person slow down the progress and maintain their level of functioning as long as possible. We also know what helps while dementia is really making all those neurons and cells inactive. What are the things that we could do to help the person be as independent as possible?
And the last time we spoke, you had mentioned that the services that you provide at Kenneth Young Center are offered at no charge to the clients you serve. Can you tell us that that is still the case, of course?
Yes, my services are funded by state, so they are free of charge. And this is to provide support and assistance to the families. I meet with families individually. I have support groups as well as educational seminars like this. Anyone can attend these programs. They can call for information. And all of these services are free to support the families, take care of their loved ones.
While you are getting your slides ready, I just wanted to remind our audience that we are recording. We're going to YouTube, and we will also have this ready for you to view again if you wish on our YouTube page, Schaumburg Library YouTube. And this program will live on our YouTube page, our YouTube channel, along with a lot of other videos that we have available. So again, we are recording and I can see your screen. So we are all set. Take it away, Daksha.
All right, thank you. So today we are going to talk about the condition that has touched many of us at many levels. Almost everyone knows someone who has memory issues, who has Alzheimer's or dementia. I just want to start out with Alzheimer's is one type of dementia. Dementia is the umbrella term, and Alzheimer's is the most prevalent dementia that we have right now. There are other types of dementia like cerebrovascular dementia, Parkinsonian dementia, Lewy body dementia, and many more. However, the most common are Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Lewy body, and cerebrovascular dementia. So I'm going to use the term dementia today to cover all of these different types because psychosocial impact, the changes in behavior, they are similar in almost all the types of dementia. So the title is Understanding the Language of Alzheimer's and Dementia. The language because the language as we know it has been compromised because of the cognition. So we have to understand what the person with dementia is trying to convey or what are they experiencing, what they want, and that's a huge change. So I think to begin with, we need to look at how the person is affected and what else is going on with them. Physically, do they have other pain or other limitations like mobility issues? Mentally, how they are responding to what's happening to them? How are their emotions? Are they being angry? Are they being depressed? Are they being defiant? Spiritually, some people do turn to prayers as a way of coping. Socially, do they have family and friends who can assist them as needed? Environmentally, what is their living situation? Are they living alone? Are they living in a retirement community? Are they in a facility? And financially, what are their resources to access the benefits or the services that they might need? Now, Alzheimer's or dementia is a disease that impacts not only the individual who has the condition, but it's a disease for the family, for the entire family, because everyone is affected by the behaviors of the person who has dementia. What I like to do is distinguish between the before and after to identify the person's habitual lifestyle versus issues related to dementia. So let's say a person was always doing things on their own, was not very social all the time. And now we know that socialization is important, but that person may not be interested in that because that was not his lifestyle all along. And that's important to know, that what are the changes due to dementia and what kind of personality the individual had prior to dementia. Sometimes family history determines how the family is going to help and take care of the person who has dementia. Relationships among the family members. For example, if mom has dementia and there are 3 children, they all might have different views, and how are their relationship with each other is going to also affect how they take care of mom individually or together. The other support system, do they have family that's available close by? Do they have someone who visits them? All of that is going to be important for the family as they take care of this person with dementia, if they have the support from others, they are able to continue to care for the family member at home little longer. But if they don't have anyone to give them a break, that becomes very, very exhausting. For the family member, when the person with dementia has coexisting condition like mental illness or other chronic illnesses, that adds another layer of the assistance that they require. And that makes that much difficult for the family member to manage the situation. The housing, where the person lives, again, if they are living in a single family home, that might impact the family member because they have to supervise the person with dementia, and they might not have enough mobility or socialization themselves because of the limitations of the dementia. Caregivers' own health, if they have poor health or they need to really take care of their own chronic illness, it really provides very little time or efforts available to them that they can take care of the person with dementia. So that adds to the factor that we need to provide supervision and monitoring for a person with dementia. So be aware of the family dynamics, how it's working, and where you can find your network of support system. So I want to show you a clear picture of what happens when a person's brain is affected with dementia. On the left, you see a healthy brain, which is plump and fuller. On the right top, you see a brain that there are deep ridges. That's the brain, the cells that are lost. Neurons are the basic working unit of the brain. And when neurons lose the ability to transmit the information, and basically when neurons die, that's when we lose the ability to use our brain for anything and everything that we do. So those are the changes, that's the regions where we have lost brain cells. And in the bottom, there is a comparison of the person with dementia, that's in the center, and the outer part, that would be a healthy brain. So you can see that the size of the brain has shrunk. And that again is a loss of brain cell. And when we lose those neurons, when we lose the brain cells, that means that we do not have enough activity in the brain to transmit the data. And that's the one that sends an impulse to us to get up and move, to raise our hand and eat, to move our feet and take steps, to go to the shower and wash up. Anything and everything we do requires somewhere in the brain to fire up those connections. And in dementia, those connections start getting lost. And depending on what part of brain has that loss affects that particular functioning. This is why we see some people with dementia losing language early on, whereas some people are able to use the language until advanced stages. Some people lose the ability to use the toilet, and they are incontinent or having accidents, whereas others are able to maintain that almost until the end stage. And that's another variation that becomes little confusing for the family members to know and prepare for. It's like you really don't know how your family member could be affected by dementia. However, it's important to remember, because you cannot see inside the brain, it's important to remember that when a person's behavior has changed, it is because of their disease. They are just not able to do things. So here, usually I would ask for interaction with the audience, but since we are doing this virtually, you are stuck with me. So the first one, what do you think? That is, oh my God, how incredible that is. And I want to give you an example. I met with Rose at a facility, and after my session with her, I was trying to leave the locked unit. She was right behind me. So I went back to turn down the hall in an effort to make sure that she was going to her room or I was leaving alone. Second time, she caught up with me. She walked real fast, caught up with me. I couldn't shake her. Third time, I thought, okay, I have tried enough. Maybe I would ask another staff to distract Rose so I can leave the unit. However, Rose surprised me. She realized I was trying to leave. And in her wisdom, she thought, I didn't know what to do. So she goes, oh, you want to go there? Pointing at the door. She walked me to the door and stood there guard, making sure I left successfully. To me, this was so amazing. And that's what I mean. Rose was in very advanced stage, didn't know her family members, thought that I was her sister, and would store butter packets in her dresser room, drawer. So as much as she had advanced dementia, her ability and her passion to help others was still alive. To me, that was amazing. The next one is, how did that happen? How can she do that? I had a daughter who mentioned her mom started using swear words in front of her children. She never, ever did that prior to her dementia. To her, at first, they were shocked. And then it was like, oh, well, this happens when frontal lobe is affected and people do not have the judgment that we need to know what is appropriate and what's not. So when frontal lobe is affected, inappropriate behavior, sexual innuendos are very, very common. And the last one, I just want to say, I had a fascinating encounter with a gentleman at a facility. This is when I wonder what just happened, So the gentleman talked for a few minutes about he was selling and he was in New York. I was so confused. I had to check that I was still in Chicago. He was a good salesman and he was proud of it. At the end of that conversation, I wondered, what was he selling and what happened? He talked full sentences. Grammar was correct, but these sentences, these sick ones, did not make any sense. So that to me, again, was quite a fascinating experience. So now we are going to talk about some of the challenging behavior. For the care receiver, for the person with dementia, they could be restless, have repeated questions. They might want to go home. This is when they wander. I want to point out that not everyone wanders, because there are times when my clients tell me, Mom doesn't wander yet, thinking as she advances, she might. But again, let me point out, not every behavior is present in every person with dementia, and it also doesn't follow the same sequence. So a person who wanders, they are usually trying to go home, even though they have lived in this home for 10, 20, 30 years. Some people might become aggressive they themselves are afraid, or they just perceive your interaction as a threat to them, or they feel disrespected and they act out. The judgment is gone, so they might be more aggressive or abusive than they ever have been because they don't understand the consequence of their action. Some of them might be clinging, following you around because they don't know what to do. So they trust that in your company, they would be safe and you would tell them what to do. You would take care of them. Some people become suspicious. I don't find money and you are the only person around, so you took my money. So people accuse the family members of stealing money, stealing jewelry, and that becomes very hurtful to the family members. But remember, this is the disease. Mom doesn't know what happened, and she just is missing the item that she's looking for. Sundowning is very common in people with Alzheimer's and dementia, and that happens around afternoon, evening time. The best way to manage sundowning is by providing little calmer activity and soothing music for the person who experiences sundowning, because sundowning causes agitation. People become a little more restless. Sometimes people with dementia hoard things because remember the Depression era, people had very few means and they made sure they saved it for the next time they need it. So they might regress back to that stage of their life and they might start storing things to make sure they have it when they need it. Poor hygiene, not taking showers, being afraid of showers is another common symptom, because people are just uncomfortable with the water rushing on them. And it becomes a poor hygiene issue, and sometimes even health issue with urinary tract infection because of poor hygiene. So really we need to work with them to ensure adequate hygiene, adequate washing off. And the last one, when the person is not able to recognize their family members, and husband and wife sleep in the same bed, wife might wake up in the middle of the night and start kicking the husband, saying, "You are a stranger, why you are in my bed?" This becomes very, very shocking and upsetting to the spouse, understandably so. They feel like we have been married for all these years and how can she forget me? But again, it's the disease that part of the brain is affected and she can't put a label on the relationship or recognize the relationship. And I think the prudent way to address that is to sleep in another bedroom or another bed, just to be safe, because you are sleeping and you wake up with this, you really don't know what happened. For the caregiver, the family member, they might become embarrassed with the behavior, especially when they are not appropriate. They might become withdrawn because they have to stay home with the person with dementia. That isolates them. There might be family conflict between children or between children and spouse, because spouse thinks that the person with dementia is really needing a lot of help and children may not recognize that. Sometimes the caregiver feels too much pressure all the time, 24/7, because the person with dementia is always looking for them and they almost crave for that time alone. They may put their own care on the back burner and not even go to for the medical checkup for themselves or go for the surgery that they need because they can't leave the person with dementia alone. So that becomes an issue, really poor health for the family member. Lack of sleep for various reasons, either because of the toll it takes on them, they can't sleep, or the person with dementia wakes them up. And all of that affects the caregiver as well. They become at times impatient because they have too much to do. And the person with dementia has slowed down. And at times there are even danger of the caregiver becoming abusive towards the person with dementia. I think the most important thing is to watch for a pattern, to watch for what happened before the person got upset. Look out for the triggers so you can avoid them. Learn how to manage the behavior to reduce the struggle and promote harmony. And please do not forget to take care of yourself. It would help both of you. And it is important. Okay, so when you know that there are changes in behavior, changes in how your family member is functioning or not functioning, it's time for comprehensive assessment. First of all, talk to your doctor. I also recommend neuropsych evaluation because that provides a thorough evaluation of what function of the person with dementia, what function is affected, what part of the brain is affected. And then the report also makes recommendations as to how much help this person would need and what kind of supervision needs to be provided to ensure their safety. Things to consider is their ability to interact, comprehend, and respond, their ability to express their needs. How is their judgment? Are they competent to make the decisions they need to make? Living situation, are they living alone? If they are, I definitely would be concerned for a person with dementia living alone, because unless you monitor them, you really don't know how they are being affected. And that can become a safety hazard because they are not able to do certain things. There are instances where there is fire because they might leave things on the stove. There are other situations where it becomes very unsafe when they eat food that is not properly cooked or stored. So providing adequate supervision is very, very critical to make sure that they are safe and they are not hurting themselves because they don't know what needs to be done. The underlying cause of what's happening to them has to be looked at because they may not be able to express all their needs or let you know what they are feeling or where they are hurting. So nonverbal communication needs to be noticed and responded to. Okay, so moving on, what are the things you can do when you know your family member has dementia? I start with what you don't do because inadvertently, we try to help them the way we think and the way we work with each other. However, the language has changed. So what we usually do doesn't work for a person with dementia. So questioning them, where would you like to go for dinner tonight? That's very huge, open-ended question, and they may not be able to answer you. But if you ask them, would you like to go to place A or place B? That might be a better situation for them to choose from two rather than unlimited options. Arguing with them, I told you we are going to eat at 6, and they keep on asking you again, that arguing with them that I already told you that 5 times is not going to help. Because if they remember, they wouldn't ask you to begin with. So when you try to argue with them, it goes round and round and it makes it worse for both of you. Explaining you need to shower because you stink, you didn't shower for 2 days, all of that creates very bad feeling for the person with dementia, because to them, they showered and that might be a week ago. They don't, sometimes they lose that sense of time, so they don't realize that, and they become upset because they are not showering for a reason. They are uncomfortable. Don't humiliate them. There are times when I had a spouse who told her husband, "You are an idiot. You can't even open a can of soup." She was upset because she had her own health issues and she needed him to help. And he had no clue where the soup can was, how to get it out, how to open it, and how to put it on the pan, in the pan to heat it up. So he really could not do that because of his disease, whereas the person was really upset because she needed him to help. And that did not help either one of them. Both of them were more frustrated with each other. When a person has dementia, their processes slow down because now there are limited brain cells to help them do whatever needs to be done. So especially if you are in a hurry and you try to rush them, it backfires. Now they are more flustered and they may not do anything, or they would slow down even more. So rushing them doesn't help you or them. If you are in a hurry, make sure you prepare the person, give them enough time to get things done. Even if you have to, let's say, wake them up a little early so that they have time to get ready for the appointment that you might have to go to. Blaming person with dementia, again, when they can't comprehend what's being said to them and do not know what's happening, blaming them doesn't help anyone. So keep that in mind. Most of the times I have seen that as soon as family member knows there is a diagnosis of dementia, they just say, "Oh, I would do everything. You just sit there." They take over everything because they want the person with dementia to be safe. However, ignoring them or not letting them participate is not helpful to them. So don't ignore them, try to engage them as much as you are able to. Remember, while some abilities have declined, some capacity is retained until advanced stage. It helps when they are not left to sit and watch TV all day or sleep all day. Find a way to keep them active and engaged. And we do have lots of tips on about how to do that. There are lots of resources that we are going to talk about towards the end. So we talked about don't, and now I want to talk about do's. What are the things you can do to help the person? And when they are feeling better, it's going to help you by keeping peace in the home, right? So first one is kiss. Sure, that sounds great. But here I'm talking about keep it short and simple. So when you talk to a person with dementia, try not to elaborate too much. As soon as you say 3-4 sentences, you have lost your message. So it's important to keep it short and simple, usually no more than 3 steps. And as soon as you see that even that is not working, I would say 1 sentence at a time so that they can comprehend, they can respond, and then you can move on to the next next item that you want to talk about. It's important to understand where the person with dementia is coming from. Sometimes their reality is very different than ours. So it's important we enter their reality. This is not about lying. This is about understanding where they are at and help them at their level. Align with them. Repeat what they said to let them know you heard them and you understood that. Now, see if you can find even teeny bit of things that you can agree on. For example, the person says today is Tuesday and it's raining. And let's say it's Thursday and it's sunshiny. It's okay to say, it's a nice day, isn't it? So you want to give positive message. So you can try to agree and then say, all right, I think today we are going to go to grocery store, which you might do every Thursday, without saying today is not Tuesday, because that would hurt their feelings, thinking, I don't know what I'm talking about, and someone has to correct them. So again, try to agree and then redirect to the correct path. Comfort goes a long way. When I don't know what's happening, when I feel lost, you know, if someone can comfort me, someone can say it's okay, someone can say I will help you, I'll take care of things, that is so huge for the person with dementia. You can provide comfort by touch, by soothing music, and by letting them know, don't worry, things are okay. Sometimes we have to assist the person with dementia with everything, including personal care. And there are times when I have family members describe they are like kids. I have to even change their diapers. However, keep in mind, these are adults. They have lived their life. They have been independent. They have accomplished a lot in their lifetime. So as much as you are helping them at every level, at a very intimate level of personal care, be respectful that they are grown-ups. And right now they are in need of some assistance from you, but you can still maintain their dignity. Basically, whatever abilities they have lost that needs to be replaced, you are really filling in the blank for them when their mind is not helping them. So we talked about what are the do's, and now let's talk about few effective ways to interact when memory is impaired. This is little different than what we normally do to help each other out, right? So the biggest thing is to be respectful. We already talked about direct, simple directions. There are times when I hear family members saying they are not motivated, they wouldn't go to gym, they wouldn't exercise. Well, again, the brain is not cooperating. So you might have to give very simple direction to get them to get things initiated. Once they start an activity, they might be able to finish, but it's the starting part that becomes difficult for a person with dementia. We mentioned this, simplify, limit the choices. Even when you go to a restaurant, the whole menu and tens of different choices might become overwhelming for them. So you know what they usually like to eat at that particular restaurant. So you might want to give them that option and say, would you like item A or item B? And that would be easier for them. There might be times when they are still confused. I want to mention here, there are cards. It's almost the size of a credit card that you can keep in your wallet that says, person with me has dementia, please order what I order for them. This way you can hand that card to waiter or waitress without saying out loud in front of the person that, do not listen to him, take my order only. That would be demeaning to the person with dementia. So this is a very discreet, respectful way to take care of ordering at a restaurant in a public place. Many times people feel like, I want Dad to be independent. He was always independent, so I don't want to tell him what to do. But we have to recognize with dementia, maintaining independence becomes really difficult. And at times it may not be good for them if they are selecting the wrong way to do things. So it's okay to select for them and to help them that way. Important thing is to engage them. If they are constantly looking for you and you have to step out or you need a break, to say, I would be back in a few minutes. So let them know rather than sneak out, because now they are going to look for you even harder. But if you let them know, they might be okay for a few minutes. Continue to interact with them. Don't think they are not able to respond, they are not able to contribute to a conversation, so it's okay, or don't bother them and you avoid them. But instead, the better thing for them is to continue to interact, even if it's at their level, even if it's just listening. And sometimes they might be able to participate a little bit, and that's even good for them. Some of the ways to help a person with dementia is look at your vacation times, picture albums, weddings, grandchildren. So all the happy memories, and that creates a good feeling in the brain, and that good feeling goes a long way in helping them. Music is very, very important and effective because most people respond to the music. So let's say they are always sitting on the couch, play the music on, have that music be, like vibrant music, and you can dance to the music or move to the music. Or if they are upset, use the soothing music that would calm them down and make them feel a little better. Visual reminders are helpful when a person has difficulty remembering the words. So let's say the person is looking for a toilet and they don't remember which door to use because all the doors, bedroom doors, bathroom doors look the same. If you put a picture of the toilet on the bathroom door, that gives a good visual reminder. Reminiscing, because older memories are retained for a longer period, is very, very helpful. Again, you want to maintain as much ability is left and not further decline because that ability is not utilized. Adapting to the situation, figuring out for a person who used to love working in the yard, having a little plant inside the home might be a good way to maintain a little gardening, which is manageable. So think of very simple, direct, and comforting ways to interact with your loved one. So all of these are very helpful ways to help the person. I think we also need to help you, the family member. And as we were mentioning earlier, we know so much more about how it helps the person with dementia. We also know how the family members are affected and what kind of support and services you need to be able to take care of your loved one for the long haul. It used to be that people with dementia lived for a few years. There was a lot of support from the families, and it was okay. But now we see that families are moving on, children are getting very busy in their own life, and we are living longer. Average time a family member takes care of a person with dementia is 10 to 13 years. That's a long period of time for anyone. So you definitely need help, excuse me. So join a support group. You meet with other caregivers who are in a similar situation. And I have seen in my support group, they instantly have that bond that we are the caregiver. Even if their situation is different, they just feel the support and they understand the other person dealing with a different situation. It's very, very helpful. Attend educational seminars like this. The more information you have, the more you are able to deal with the situation. Powerful tools for caregivers. These are the classes that really help a person with their feelings, managing their stress, understanding all the information, and really taking care of yourself. Because when you take care of yourself, your loved one would benefit too, because you are able to do more. I want to mention here, I'm going to offer powerful tools for caregivers virtually sometime in mid-July to end of August. It's a 6-week class. So please go on Kenneth Young website for the exact day and time. The other class is who are taking memory impairments. So that's a good tool, a good resource for you as well. Planning and preparing, and we talked about navigating your options and planning for the future in my last seminar. Empower yourself, prepare ahead of time rather than dealing with things in a crisis, because that time you don't have enough time or options. Talking about nutrition and activities, I like to empower people and tell you what is going to be helpful. You go to the doctor, you get the evaluation, you get the diagnosis, and they prescribe appropriate medications. Now, when you come home, you can do your part to support that, to promote that. And I want you to look up brain foods. Some of them are blueberries, coconut oil, turmeric, omega-3, as in flax seeds. Avocados are wonderful and delicious way to add nutrition in your diet, and dark chocolate in small amounts. Look this up, talk to your doctor if adding that to your diet as well as your loved one would be appropriate. You do need to look at other health conditions, so definitely talk to your doctor before you start any supplements or any diet. For having a conversation with the doctor and the family about what are your options and what is your own preference. For a person with dementia, I think to have that conversation as early as possible before they decline further and they are not able to explain to you what they would like. Identify someone you can trust, that you can talk to, who knows your preferences, your likes and your dislikes. Express your concerns and wishes with your family members so they know, and let others help you. So there is this movie Notebook that talks about how helping others help you really works well. I think the biggest thing in your control is choose your attitude. You are in control and help yourself. No one can do this 24/7 for a long period of time. It's okay to get help. Some of the resources here I want to talk about: Coach Broyle's playbook for caregivers. He was a coach, and when his wife had dementia, he has written very practical tips based on his experiences, his observations, how his wife behaved and how he figured out what was happening and how to help her. Teepa Snow, I love her videos on YouTube. She addresses different topics, so go on YouTube, look for her videos. They are very, very helpful. Again, she was a physical therapist, and she has been doing educational program for dementia for a long, long time. And I love the tips she gives, very practical, very hands-on. Staying Sharp on our website, this is to empower you to do the activities to make sure all your brain power stays sharp. It's like working your muscles, right? So the more you use your brain, the more you are going to develop new connections and maintain your brain activity. Aging Care, they have a caregiver forum that I love. Caregivers talk. They are like, you know, you and me. All these situations that they have to deal with. And there are professionals as well as other caregivers who provide their feedback. So they have a wonderful caregiver forum. I highly recommend Aging Care Caregiver Forum. And of course, Alzheimer.org has a lot of valuable information. The best way to cope for you, the caregiver, is self-care, humor. Really, humor goes a long way. That also includes sense of gratitude, sense of fulfillment, compassion, seeking support and help, and replenishing your spirits by taking a break, taking care of yourself. Please practice self-care. With this, you will not only survive, you would thrive as a caregiver. I have used deep breathing exercise that you can do anywhere, even for a few minutes, and help you. So please, that's the important part, that you do want to take care of yourself. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. We do have a few questions here, and I believe that the first question relates to the picture that you showed of the different brains. The question is, what does a change in brain color, healthy to Alzheimer's, signify?
Great question. So if you saw, a healthy color is plump and pinkish, whereas when the person has Alzheimer's or dementia, the color becomes dark. And that, I think, is really because the cells die. So it becomes kind of that dark color, as you see on the slide.
Thank you. And then we also have a question regarding repeating that nutrition list. The audio was cutting in and out when you're talking about blueberries and turmeric and all that.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to expand too much, but I want people to know that there are food items that really promote brain power. However, I'm not a nutritionist, so definitely talk to healthcare providers. The list is blueberries, coconut oil. I have repeatedly seen articles that give amazing results, but I haven't heard that confirmation from the health professional. So again, research, look at these items online, and come to your own conclusion what you would like to do. The next one is turmeric, omega-3 as in flax seeds, avocados, and dark chocolate. Now I do want to warn, coconut oil and avocados have a lot of fatty acids. So they are high fat food. As good as they are for their nutritional value, please don't overindulge. And that is why you should talk to your doctor how much would be okay for you, especially if you have high cholesterol issues. Did that answer that question?
That answers the questions. Let's see, do we have any other chat questions? So while we're waiting to see if we have any other chat questions, I just would like to point out that Kenneth Young Center is one of the wonderful community resources. Also, your library is also a resource. Your library is here for you. My name is Renee, Senior Services Coordinator, and I welcome your phone calls or your emails. You can email me at randerson@stdl.org, and I'll get back to you, find the right person to answer your questions. We have a thank you. Do we have other questions? So I think, let's see here. Oh, the address of the YouTube link. So to find the Schaumburg Library's YouTube page, I would go to YouTube and search for Schaumburg Library, or put in your search engine, Schaumburg Library YouTube, and it should come right up. So we did put that web address in the opening slide for this program as well, for how to get to YouTube. But if you search for Schaumburg Library on YouTube, you'll find us, and there are so many videos there, everything from Daksha's previous program to kid videos. We've got the works. Yes, so when you go back to look at that video, then you'll see Daksha's list of the AARP, for instance, and all those resources. So that should be posted within 24 to 48 hours. And Daksha, your audio cut out when you were talking about when your class is going to be. So I think we had some audio transmission issues that were different for different people who are listening. So can you repeat when you will have your classes?
Sure. So my Powerful Tools class would be mid-July to August. And you can go on my Kenneth Young website. That is kennethyoung.org. And all my programs, because I have other programs as well, all my programs are updated and available on that website. You can also call us at Kenneth Young Center, the phone number 847-524-8800, extension 189. That extension is for older adult services, where for any services in our department, it starts with older adults intake, so they would get your information, let them know what you are looking for, and they would connect you to the right service.
Well, we certainly want to thank all the viewers who have tuned in today, and we know how difficult these issues can be, and I thank you so much for casting a lot of light on these complex issues that people are dealing with.
Right.